Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this episode we will discussing SpaceX Starship. SpaceX continues its ride in the Starship after the successful launch of Dragon 2. SpaceX is equipped with another larger spaceship. Having a diameter of 30 feet and 160 feet tall, this spaceship can raise approximately 100 people and cargo into orbit, Moon, and Mars. This spaceship uses its new Raptor engines, that capable to produce 330 bar of chamber pressure without exploding. SpaceX Starship will be made of stainless steel, which has a greater melting factor compared to carbon fiber. The Starship will launch the usage of a booster, however it can take off on Moon and Mars on its own. Coming to its prototypes, the predominant two models confronted failure. SN3 also did not meet the expectation of SpaceX CEO Elon Musk as it collapsed in the course of a take a look at in this April. "Rockets are hard," later, Musk tweeted. In May 2020, SN4 carried out a static fire test but exploded shortly after the fire test. These first four prototypes were built to test, though they lack success. Musk did not stop there. Later on, a more improved version of the SpaceX Starship, SN5 was ready to go, though the tests. So, let us look into some details regarding SN5 and upcoming SN6. On August 4, at the time when the sun was high, the SN5 prototype took a successful flight test of 150 meters. The launch site was one from SpaceX's Boca Chica test site in Texas. Testing schedules were quite easy. Musk was providing a countdown for the launch himself. Unfortunately, the firing was aborted at T0 because of some issues in the Raptor engine, but later on, SN5 took a successful flight on the second attempt. The pad was cleared for all SpaceX personnel 1 hour before the launch. At T0, the inflamed Raptor SN27 engine took the SpaceX Starship off the ground. The airtime off the ship was 40 seconds, resulting in successfully. The following test pushed SpaceX beyond that. They decided to swap SN5 with SN6, their next prototype model. SpaceX Starship SN6 has undergone all the necessary checks and found to meet all the milestones to fire up Raptor SN29. It's a slightly better performer compared to SN5. As we just mentioned milestones, it was mainly focused on two tests conducted at SpaceX's McGregor test site. First, it was the integration on the launch mount, and secondly a fueling test with liquid nitrogen, which was done at both normal and cryogenic temperatures. The cryogenic temperature range lies between -150 degrees Celsius, -238 degrees Fahrenheit, to absolute zero, i.e. -273 degrees Celsius or -460 degrees Fahrenheit. At this temperature molecular motion almost stops, achieving lowest possible energy. To find out the timing of the SN6 tests, the best possible way is to keep an eye on the road closure notices, and this time a 12-hour window was already booked by SpaceX starting from 8 o'clock in the morning last Sunday. Following the routine similar to SN5, the static fire test was performed to assess the performance details of the vehicle along with some validations of ground support equipments. It also gives an idea about the health of vehicle at the time of firing. During the 3 drills performed with the engine firing up, a technical issue regarding the detanking procedure was observed, which may lead SpaceX to conduct another static fire test in coming week. Having the road closure notices cancelled until the hop date, there is chance the static fire test may have qualified to be acceptable. As per the local road closure notices, there can be a 150 meters hop test on or after the 28th of August. Bad weather forecast in the region could be the main reason to postpone the date of the hop. This is just a beginning for SpaceX to push its test campaign with several other prototypes. While SN5 is already subjected to go through post-hop processing, a test tank 7.1 is in development for an overpressure test. SN8 and SN9 are preparing for their debut. So now let's dig into some small print about SN7. If we take a look at the tank, SN7.1 will be preparing for an independent test stand, whereas SN5 and SN6 take part in a game of hop tag team. SN7.1 tank is comparable to the different previous tanks. The preceding test tanks push the limits of the welds to permit records points on margins. Elon Musk, CEO of SpaceX, stated this check tank will be pushed until it fails. SpaceX is very much excited about their SN8 Starship prototype. This prototype is also made from 304 liters steel, same as SN7.1 test tank. The most exciting thing about this vehicle is that it will be the first to obtain a nose cone and aero surfaces. The SpaceX Starship SN8 powered by 3 Raptor engines will outdo even the hops of Starhopper and SN5, SN6 in its test, with flights around 20 km on books. Though 20 km is the ultimate milestone altitude for this vehicle, as there is a possibility that SN8 will first fly to a much lower altitude. Now SN8 is stacked along with the SN5 inside the mid-bay. SpaceX also expects the remaining work related to tankage section will also be completed in coming days. Now the scenario is if SpaceX Starship SN8 will roll to the launch site like previous Starship, SN5, SN6, or will keep up with the nose cone. It is more likely the two sections will separately take road trips for stacking at the launch site. In yet another sign of SpaceX's incredible production cadence at Boca Chica, sections of Starship SN9 have already been spotted out in the open. SN9's test plans are currently expected to mirror, or at least provide a backup to, SN8, not unlike how SN5 and SN6 will be tag-teaming their test objectives. There is one more excitement left that SpaceX kept in a facility. A facility that will stack SpaceX's future vehicle's Super Heavy booster is nearly at its completion. The building is said to be 81 meters tall. It already over and done with its level air assembly phase. Bluezilla, a huge crawler crane, is assisting the facility. However, the third level has involved walls that are referring to the final sections that need to be added for topping off for the roof level. At the launch site, the orbital launch pad facility is still in progress, which is expected to host the first Super Heavy rocket. Last but not the least, the company is now set its goal to begin commercial flights of its Starship as soon as possible. With the Japanese billionaire Yusaku Maezawa, who provided SpaceX with a big amount of funding, the community planned a trip to Moon for 2023. SpaceX's Starship also achieved the finalist placement for NASA's Artemis moon lander project. We all know Musk already has Mars in his sights, pushing to get SpaceX Starship cargo missions to the Red Planet by as early as 2022, along with the first humans on Mars' red soil by 2024. Even, SpaceX plans to ferry people to and from Mars regularly using Starship and Super Heavy. And while the CEO of SpaceX significantly has a history of proclaiming overly confident timelines, when SpaceX Starship is finally set to launch, it could bring a revolution to the space travel industry. With its previously unheard-of capacity for crew and passengers, SpaceX Starship will be everyone's desire and a new option for space travel. Likely to cost around $10 billion to develop, the Starship system represents the culmination of SpaceX's long-term plans for spaceflight. The SpaceX Starship Super Heavy will be even more powerful than the company's current Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets, which will be phased out in time, and SpaceX Starship will eventually replace the Crew Dragon. Starship will allow us to inhabit other worlds. Musk tweeted last year. To make life as we know it interplanetary. We will soon get back to you with more details. Thanks for watching.